Welcome into Second Down right here on ESPN Radio Coastal Georgia. Christian Gokel, glad to have you alongside. Cam, I have a very important question for you. You're doing some guest booking. Do we have guests for later in the show?
No, not today. I can't spoil it. They have a game today. It's going to be tomorrow.
Well, there you go. Cam just get me all excited, Cody, about having a guest on today.
Oh, he was talking about ecstatic is the word I heard.
No, but it does give us more time to dive into this. Let me preview 3 and Out first, because we do have a big show coming up. We're going to dive into the Trae Young situation. Trae Young, if you don't know, not selected as a part of the All-Star game reserves, even though he was an All-Star last year and arguably has better stats this year. He was not selected as an All-Star, so we'll dive into that. We'll talk to Brandon Scoopy Robinson coming up on 3 and Out. Talk to him about all the All-Star stuff, and also going to catch up with home team Brandon Leak 4 o'clock as well. He has a great stat about Trae Young and why he doesn't think he should have been left off the All-Star game roster as well. But a ton to get to. Going to catch up with a former ESPN Coastal intern and now a star football player at the Citadel, Javante Middleton. You can hear that tomorrow. So a lot of stuff coming up in the next few days here on Second Down and on 3 and Out. But really, all right. We all have guilty pleasures, right? We all have things that we indulge in that we know they're not good for us, but it's so hard to say no. Cody, I think for you, it's frozen chicken nuggets.
Chicken nuggets, yeah.
You throw in the oven and eat at all hours of the
microwave,
night.
Baby, not even oven.
But I mean, whether it's TV shows, whether it's reading the terrible magazines in the checkout line at grocery stores, right? Like, Cam, what is a guilty pleasure you have, right? That you're just like, this isn't good for me, but it feels so good.
Eating candy 24/7. I eat candy all the time.
You're a candy guy.
That's going to catch up with you, my man. You're still your metabolism is still going. You keep that going. You can still eat the candy, but that waistline might start creeping the other way. I have some guilty pleasures. One of the ones I'm most ashamed of, though, is I love high school football forums. Like, just because it is, I kind of like just how dirty it is, right? It's a bunch of grown folks putting their thoughts and opinions and rumors out there about high school football. And I have always found them hilarious. I love going there for the rumors. And sometimes, I mean, it's the first place you go to actually find out where this stuff is happening. And there's all kinds of different boards you can go to. But if I ever hear like rumblings, I'm on one of those forums and I'm reading through it. And it is just the gossip. It's one of those magazines you could pick up at the grocery store checkout line, but for high school football fans. So that's my guilty pleasure. I'm ashamed of it, but it is what it is. So when the deposition,
dude, okay, like my chicken nuggets addiction seems very.
It is.
Very
that
normal.
Is so much healthier than this.
Yeah.
All right. So when the deposition from the Superior Court of Lowndes County came out last night surrounding the name Rush Probst, which if you follow high school football, you know that name. Back in the day, he was the head football coach of Hoover High in Alabama. He was the head coach during the time that MTV was shooting the show Two-A-Days. That all came down crashing and burning in Hoover, and we'll dive into that in a second. He then became the head coach in the state of Georgia at Colquitt County, won back-to-back state championships, I believe in 2014 and 2015, was fired from that job in 2018, didn't coach in 2019, and then was hired by Valdosta prior to this season. So if you follow high school football in Georgia, you know, or you follow high school football in general, you know who Rush Probst is. And going back to the Hoover days, Cam, I don't know. Do you know anything about Rush Probst?
No, nothing at all.
Okay. My man had 2 separate families, and this is all confirmed. This is not hearsay. This is not speculation. This isn't I heard it from somebody at the gas station. You can go on ESPN.com right now. There's a story from 2013 when Rush Probst took Colquitt back to Hoover in Alabama to play them again, kind of like his quote-unquote redemption story, right? He was married to his high school sweetheart, and then at the same time had a girlfriend on the side for multiple years, and that all came crashing down when the girlfriend on the side got pregnant. Just all kinds of infidelities inside of that. So just that by itself is an unbelievable story, right? loses his job in Hoover. All that all comes crashing down. Goes to Colquitt. When he comes to Colquitt, he gets fired after an internal investigation from the superintendent in Colquitt County that he claims the charges were fraudulent, but either way, the football coach at Colquitt, he gets his teaching certificate reinstated, and the Valdosta job was open. Why was the Valdosta job open? Alan Rodemaker was the head football coach at Valdosta.
Yep.
If you know any of the local teams around here, I know Glen Academy's played them in the playoffs. Brunswick's played them in the playoffs. He was a really good football coach. Richmond Hill beat him a couple years ago in the quarterfinals, right? Like a very good football coach, took his team to a state championship. And so it was very odd when he was not, his contract wasn't renewed. And so it was very odd, the conditions surrounding that. And so immediately following that, the fact that Rush Probst got hired, a lot of people were like, all right, what's going on here? Well, now Alan Rodemaker is suing for wrongful termination from his job as the Valdosta head football coach. And there are all kinds of reasons behind that, all kinds of accusations of race being thrown into that. But I wanted to focus on the Rush Probst stuff because, again, inside the Alan Rodemaker investigation, they brought in the director of the Valdosta Touchdown Club to depose him, which is an amazing sentence, right? This is a lawsuit happening, and you're bringing in the director of a high school. Say it out loud, right? It's a high school football teams. You're bringing in the director of the high school football team's touchdown club, which the entire goal surrounding a touchdown club is to raise money to help support the football team. And so they bring in one Michael Nelson, and he is interviewed by Mr. Savage, who is the lawyer representing the Rodemakers in this case, right? And so there's a few different things I thought were absolutely amazing. It's a 64-page deposition.
Just to let everybody know right now, Christian has literally everything. He looks like a lawyer. He's got all the legal paperwork. He's been looking this over all morning. Steam's been coming through his ears. He's been super hyped that this is like a general hospital, high school football type of scene going on. And he's like starry-eyed, amazed by the story. You should see him
Let me set it up for you. So I just told you who Rush Probst is, right, Cam? You have a pretty good idea. It ain't a pretty situation. You bring him in because he wins, right? It's not because he's the guy you want driving your kid home and babysitting. It's because he wins football games, right? So you know who Rush Probst is. So let me just lay this out there for you. Rush Probst, lawsuits, Winn-Dixie money laundering. Say that last part for you again, Cam. Winn-Dixie money laundering. I mean, it's truly an unbelievable story. I tweeted it out. It feels like I'm reading a John Grisham novel. I know you probably don't know who John Grisham is. I don't blame you if you don't, but it reads like a John Grisham novel. So let's start with the first part. Again, this is Michael Nelson being interviewed. He's the director of the Valdosta High School Football Touchdown Club, and he has asked the question, tell me about that. I mean, I don't understand how a guy who lost his job in Colquitt County got hired here. His answer, somehow Probst was able to find out who we were interviewing, was calling certain people here in Valdosta and getting word out to these people that we were going to be interviewed, that his place had a racist board, and all of this going on with Rodemaker, and just kind of poo-pooed on the whole thing and discouraged these people from coming here and interviewing. And eventually Rush Probst was the last one standing. So to kind of break that down, somehow he was, and this is all from a deposition, so this is all alleged. Rush Probst allegedly got his hands on the list of coaches that Valdosta was going to interview and was able to either contact them or contact people who were doing the interviewing and saying, this guy isn't great. You shouldn't take this job. It's a hellhole. Like you're better off where you are, till eventually he was the last one standing. And he said, you guys don't have anywhere else to go but me. Found that absolutely fascinating. Skip down a couple pages in this deposition. Question. Let's talk about Mr. Probst stealing money here in Valdosta. That kind of pops off the page. Answer. Okay. Question. How do you feel about that? Well, I think maybe even before November, I was told that we have a problem down there at the Winn-Dixie.
Wait.
I mentioned
Winn-Dixie?
I mentioned Winn-Dixie money laundering. Cam, do I have your attention?
Yeah, you kind of do.
Yep. Winn-Dixie.
I kind of get it.
A lot of people.
We got phone calls.
I'm just listening.
Commenting about this stuff, how nuts this is already. We got a phone call from Doug just being Doug. And then we got another phone call from a Mr. Michael Daniel out there saying it's almost like a fantasy land type of thing.
Oh, it's amazing. It's amazing. Like I said, this is it's gossip. It's gossip for people who follow high school football.
Mhm.
But also, this is literally a legal document that I'm carrying in my hand, a deposition done in Lowndes County. All right. We have a problem down there at the Winn-Dixie. Hear that Rush had a check made out to him that should have been made out to the school system. January the 6th, I got a phone call from the president of the Touchdown Club telling me we got a problem down at Winn-Dixie. You can't have problems down at Winn-Dixie. You
Can't have that. Yeah.
That they paid for advertising in the stadium and that they never saw, and that I needed to go down there and talk to them, get with the manager. This whole thing started as a scam to begin with. These companies will call local businesses to act like they're with our school system and tell them that, for X number of dollars, we will put them on a logo on a calendar or send out T-shirts, something like that. Well, these companies called Winn-Dixie, said that for $700, we would put a sign in their stadium. So there's fraudulent companies in Valdosta, which is, again, just another amazing fact. Valdosta high school football is so big that there is an ecosystem of fake companies that will call other businesses inside Valdosta and try to steal their money, saying that they will advertise for them inside the stadium in Valdosta.
Sounds like some type of mafia stuff.
Right. And so that happened to this Winn-Dixie. So, and then the answer goes a couple of weeks later, I guess. I don't know exactly how much later. The manager wanted to send his payment of $700. So he called a friend of his, Phil Jones, who has a local sports radio show. The manager of Winn-Dixie knew that Phil could get in touch with Coach Probst to find out where he could send the check. Coach Probst sends word to make the check out to him and give him an address to mail it to. Well, I checked the address, and it was Coach Probst's address in Moultrie. Well, what do you think Coach Probst, according to Mr. Nelson, did with that money, Cody? Do you think he gave it to the appropriate folks?
Oh, he probably spent it on his second family.
Well, no, he's actually, to get back to that, he's actually married to the second family now. So he's only married into one family now. And the witness says, we caught him. He or Mrs. Probst put the money into their personal account. So that, number one, fireable offense in any municipality, any school system in the country, right? Touchdown Club money isn't taxpayer money, but it is money acquired to go into the football team itself. And so then you come into the questions of legality with actual taxes that you should be paying on that you're depositing into your personal account. Then he goes on to say that he made a deal with the Winn-Dixie. If they gave him $400 more, he would have put them at $1,000 spot. And so I guess they figured the stuff out with the Winn-Dixie. But there's your Winn-Dixie money laundering. All right. Part two that I found fascinating, and this gets into the recruiting side of it. It says the question from the lawyer, okay, we're going to loop back. I want to talk about the break into Los Angeles, the kid that plays quarterback for the University of Southern California, Jake Garcia. Now, this was a huge storyline across Georgia high school football earlier in the year. Jake Garcia transfers in from California because California suspended their football season due to COVID-19, right? Georgia high school football was still happening. Jake Garcia comes in. I believe he played 1 or 2 games in Valdosta. GHSA rules he's not eligible. He then transferred out of Valdosta, right?
Yeah, it was a big thing. Yep.
So that was a big thing. Question from the lawyer. Did he end up here in Valdosta? Answer, oh yeah. Do you know anything about Rush Probst paying for his parents to come over here? Answer, well, he facilitated that. In case you don't know, you're not allowed to do that in high school football. Lawyer, okay, let's talk about that. What do you know about Probst dealing with Jake Garcia, and how did the University of Miami come in? Answer, well, he asked for me to come up with $2,500 a month for him for 4 months. Again, extremely against the rules. Question, Probst said this to you personally? Answer, oh yeah. Answer, 2 players. He had me raise $2,500 a month cash for Jake Garcia and $850 a month for another quarterback, Amari Jones, who comes out of Atlanta, right? What was this money from? Quote, answer, funny money is the way he liked to call it. And what was the purpose of this money? The $2,500 for the Garcias, $850 a month from the quarterback from Atlanta. Answer, to pay rent. So basically going out there, hey, your son can't play football in California. He's a really good quarterback. I got $2,500 a month to put you in a real nice house, get you guys going, bring your quarterback down here to Valdosta. I mean, Cam, this is just mind-boggling stuff.
Yeah, he's on that you only live once type of model, I guess. I mean, he had 2 families and all of that. Yeah,
it's just one of those things. All right, and quickly, diving into the rest of it here, because this is where I think this story had a potential to go from regional story about a guy who's been busted before getting busted again to this came very close and may even still kind of teeter out there to becoming a national story. All right.
Okay.
Bear with me here. They go through his history kind of like we went through at the beginning. The question is asked, why would you hire somebody like that? Well, he's a winner. He's a winner if he cheats. I don't think he's a winner if he plays the game right. That was the answer from the person being deposed, right? Question. Well, let's talk about other things. Recruiting players. Do you know anything about the beyond paying rent for the quarterback out of Atlanta's family and the quarterback out of California? Making sure their rent was paid. Do you know anything about him recruiting players? Answer. Well, I'll tell you, I guess he'd been here maybe 2 or 3 weeks. I was in his office. I went there to find out about how he wanted the touchdown club organized. He walks around, closes the door, walks back around his desk and says, now, I don't know how you are going to feel about this, but I want to be truthful. We need some funny money. Question from the lawyer, funny money? And I said, how much funny money you need? He goes, I don't know, $10,000, $15,000. I always need to keep at least $10,000 cash right here in my desk drawer.
It's Pablo Escobar. What the heck?
And he says, quote, now there's some things you can't know about, only me and one other person. Who's the other person? I mean, that's another thing, but I want to get to the part that I think could have blown this up into a national
The mystery
story.
person?
Yes. Who is the mystery person? I think the other person was the wallet in his back pocket, to tell you the truth. That's a great quote.
Yeah, that's good.
Me and one other person need to know about it. The other person is my wallet. Anyway, that's how it all got started. And, it was just a mess. I'd say that I got caught up in it. Well, yeah, Mr. Nelson, I would agree with you. Now, how about recruiting players? Do you know anything about that? Answer, that's what he does. I mean, he's trying to turn us into a recruiting machine. I mean, he's told me he's taking or talking to as many as 15 people, 15 kids all over the country. But let's bring this back into scope, right? This is a team that other schools inside of our coverage area play.
There's a high school team, guys.
Right. And so you're from a high school in our local area that's in 6A football. You can pick your kids out of the kids who live in your area and go to your school. That's the cards you're dealt. And then you get into the playoffs and you either have to host or go to a school that has $10,000, $15,000 of funny money that he's quoting, pulling kids from California and recruiting players from all over the country.
About to get a t-shirt made.
That's enough to get
funny money.
That's enough to get somebody mad, like real mad.
Yeah, you think?
Real mad.
Yeah.
That's enough to get somebody real mad. All right, goes on to say,
Rocky Hidalgo's already tweeting and stuff like that about you shouldn't have to worry about hiring a head coach and the morals of the head coach. This is already starting to make people mad.
I will let Coach Hidalgo speak for himself because he's very good at that.
Yeah, he's good.
And I've spoken to a few other coaches, and they very much voiced the same opinion. Another question from the lawyer. He's trying to get them down here to play with the Wildcats. Answer, he's got college recruiters helping him. This is when I almost threw my phone, because this is where it gets to the story. We're like, all right, this is good. This is good. This is good. What did he just say? He's got college recruiters helping him. Question from the lawyer. From what university? Answer, all of them. All. They are from all over. This funny money aspect, did he implicate any college coaches to do the same thing? I.e., you throw me some cash here at Valdosta, I'll make sure this player's leaning your way. Or I'll facilitate the cash to that player, right? Answer, no. They never talked to me. And this is where I believe Mr. Nelson realized he might be throwing himself in some really deep water during the middle of this statement. He says, well, do we have to go there? And the lawyer, Mr. Savage, says, that's okay. They can't ask you any questions. Mr. Lumley, who's representing the other side, goes, and this deposition goes, I would like an answer to that. The witness, again, just said that he has college recruiters from all over the place helping him in terms of this funny money stuff. The director of the touchdown club said that the college coaches are coming in. I'm not going to give it. Lock me up. I think he felt that he was getting dangerously close to either A, slander, or B, he didn't want to get his favorite college football team in trouble. Because from what he said, he has college coaches from all over the country coming into Valdosta that are a part of this scam. And he just realized all of a sudden, Oh, snap. I can't let my favorite team that I watch on Saturday get in trouble here, lock me up. I am willing to go to jail right now to not have my favorite college football team be in trouble. This deposition, truly amazing. But imagine if he had dropped a big name there. I'm not going to say any names, but imagine if he had dropped a big name there. This goes from regional South Georgia story to cover of Sports Center in no time, right? I mean, it is a fascinating story. The full 60-page deposition is online. There's so many other angles to this story that are there as well. I encourage you, if you follow high school football, to read the deposition because it is, like I said, it is amazing reading. But again, you come back to it. If what he's saying is true, then you have a lot of local coaches around here doing it the right way, potentially having to play against a team that ain't doing it the right way. And that's enough to make a lot of people really mad.
Makes you sick to your stomach.
Real mad. So got a lot to get to here on Second Down. But Cam, I mean, would you buy that book?
Yeah, I would, because I mean, like I said, it's YOLO for him. You only live once, so just live it in the moment.
It's just like the thing of it remains true. If you win, people are going to hire you no matter what you've done in your past. I mean, just some wild stuff in there. But if you win a state championship, you can get hired. I mean, again, this is all in a deposition. This is alleged by Mr. Nelson in this deposition, but it is some wild accusations. And this is about a completely separate case involving the former head coach at Valdosta. But now, because of this, the superintendent in Valdosta is launching an internal investigation into it. I guarantee you the GHSA is going to be involved in this. So just a completely fascinating story. We'll keep you updated.
The only thing that's missing is it wasn't really him. It was his evil twin.
Yes. The evil twin. That was the other Rush. That's the Rush that was married to the other family.
Yeah, there you go.
The evil twin there. But no, just a fascinating story. We'll keep you updated as it goes. We'll come back, dive into the Trae Young situation. I want to get Cam's take on that. If you miss any portion of the show, you can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud as well. We'll be right back after this. This just brings out an interesting poll question, I think, in my mind.
Dude, you're like running around crazy right now.
It's so damn funny. You have Winn-Dixie money. Like, there's an actual statement in a real life deposition for a real life legal case where a guy says, I got a phone call and someone says, we got a problem at the Winn-Dixie.
What is this, like from like Squidbillies or something like that?
It's amazing is what it is. You can't write like that. That is just that. Oh my, it's so good. But I want to put a poll up that says, are you willing to go to jail for your favorite college football team? Like they say, we need you to rat right now on your favorite college football team. Tell us right now, or you're going to jail. Are you saying what my man said in there, saying, lock me up?
No,
lock me up. Because I think it's a resounding yes for most people I know, as crazy as we are about college football down here.
I'm not made for jail, dude.
I think it's a resounding yes. I think most people are like, yeah, lock me up. It's fine. I'll go to jail for my favorite college football team.
I was terrified one time being in handcuffs. It was during the high school. My buddy was with a girl on top of a roof looking at the stars, and I was being a lookout. Cop came.
Looking at the stars, huh?
Just put me in handcuffs. My mom came and got me. I was terrified. Going to actual jail? Nah, I'm not made for that.
But, I mean, if it protects your favorite college football team, then it's worth it.
Well, it depends which one you talk about.
Yeah, that's fair. UCF, like which one is it, Cody? Florida? Just what flavor of the week is it for you this week?
It's going to be Florida this time.
This week? All right, we'll ask him tomorrow. It'll probably be UCF.
Georgia Southern next week.
There you go. Cam. Trae Young was left off of the All-Star game roster, which kind of compounds on the fact that he had a rough night last night. The Hawks fall to the Cleveland Cavaliers, 112-111. Trae Young misses his final 3 shots in that game.
You and the drama today.
He misses. I mean, this is what we do. It's entertainment. He misses the final 3 shots in the game. Meanwhile, the Hawks traded for him, Luka Doncic, nails 2 3-pointers in the final 15 seconds to lift the Mavericks over the Celtics in their game. So it was a rough night for Trae Young. No Atlanta Hawks make the All-Star game roster in an All-Star game being played in Atlanta. So just a rough night overall for the Atlanta Hawks. In your mind, should he have made the roster? And if so, who would you have left off?
Yeah, he should have made the roster. Leave off Ben Simmons. His numbers are down this year. He hasn't progressed at all. He's the most overrated player in the NBA to me. And Trae Young, he's still averaging 27, a career high in assists. Last year they only had 20 wins and he was an all-star starter. Now they already have 13 wins and he's not even an all-star. So I don't want to hear the record part. Well, flip that though. Just they have 13 wins, but they're also a few games under 500, Cam, and just lost to the Cleveland Cavaliers. Like they're not. Here's my thought on Trae Young, and tell me why I'm wrong. Like just you can tell me why I'm wrong. Mm-hmm. It's like a football team that's 4-12, but their quarterback throws for 4,000 yards. You're like, wow, that quarterback's really good. It's like, well, he has to be really good because his team's always down, and he's the only focal point on that offense. The Hawks don't have a ton of great scores. I can hear John Collins. He was out last night. Hawks don't have a ton of great scores. Trae Young scored 28 points last night on 27 shots. Yeah. That's not efficiency, Cam. I think he's a good scorer on a bad team, and so his stats get inflated. Yeah, I mean, that's a lot of people, but I'm going off of last year. They were 20-47 last year. This year they're 13-18. Last year you made him a starter. So you have to keep that same energy. Maybe you don't start him this year. He doesn't deserve to start. We know that. But not putting him on the team, it's like, come on. And then of all people, you put Ben Simmons on there. Ben Simmons hasn't progressed.
Let me throw you some of the other snubs out there and say, would you have put these guys in there over Trae Young? Devin Booker.
Oh, yes. Definitely.
Yeah, he did not make the All-Star game. DeMar DeRozan.
No.
Mike Conley.
You could. That's a valid case, yeah.
De'Aaron Fox.
Definitely a valid case.
Yeah.
Brandon Ingram.
Yeah, definitely a valid one.
Bam Adebayo.
Yeah, valid. You got
Fred VanVleet.
Fred VanVleet, yeah, that's valid. 26.
All right, so it's like it's one of those things where folks were gonna get left out. Your one argument was against Ben Simmons, though, right?
Yeah, the one guy that you didn't mention that should be there in place of Vucevic is Sabonis. He averages like 22, 11, and 6. Like, I don't know what happened with him. And his team has a better record.
Home team Brandon Leak did have a great stat about Trae Young. He said he's the first player in 30 years to average 27 points and 9 rebounds and not make the All-Star game. But I have to think a lot of that came and the factor in this that we're not talking about, the coaches could have chosen to put him in, right? The coaches get a vote. You can't vote for your own player, but the coaches get a vote, and none of them put Trae Young, right? So even the coaches said he wasn't deserving of it. But as home team Brandon Leak said this morning on 680 The Fan, first player in 30 years in the NBA to average 27 points and 9 rebounds a game and not make it. I have to think a lot of that is because coaches and players and people don't necessarily respect his style of play, which is I'm going to be 100% on the offensive side, and I'm going to be the polar opposite worst defensive player in the league on the flip side of it.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of what happened to Brad Beal last year. He averaged 30 and didn't make it. So I think they're telling Trae Young, okay, dude, it's time to start winning some games, and maybe, you can make this all-star team again, but we're not rewarding high volume but bad, inefficiency. Basically,
if you do the averages off with it, right, Cam, is like when you do the DVOA for offense versus defense, and he's one of the best on offense and literally the worst on defense at his position, then that kind of averages out. You're a middling point guard, right? Like you're one of the maybe top 10 point guards in the league, maybe.
Yeah,
I give him top 10. Yeah,
really,
I give him top 10. Yeah,
but is top 10 good enough to make the All-Star game when you still have other guards that aren't necessarily point guards vying for those spots?
Will you do us a favor and put your top 10 guards on Twitter?
Oh yeah, I can do that.
Thank you.
And probably
I would actually love to see that.
You better not put
do it
just to prove your point.
Huh?
You better not put Trae Young at 10 just to prove your point.
I mean, I legit think he's top 10, but I'll actually do my research and see and look. And if he's not top 10, he's not. But I could definitely do that.
Yeah, I would definitely like to see that, dude. I want to see that, baby.
And again, Ben argues with me on this. Ben thinks that the NBA doesn't necessarily value the defensive efficiency as much anymore if you can score. But I mean, it's just me doing simple math in my head. If you're allowing as many points as you're putting up, then you're kind of a net neutral, whereas the best players in the league are worth way more points than they're giving up.
Yeah, you are right. It's like, hard. I mean, Trae is young. He's young.
But I can see that getting better, right? I think it's just he's undersized and just the style of play, maybe a different coach. And I don't want to come for Lloyd Pierce's job yet. People are already doing that. I don't think it's his fault that the talent on that team. Look, there is
young team.
Well, there was sports hosts all over the state of Georgia with John Collins and Trae Young saying like, hey, hop on the bandwagon. This team's going to be really good, fun team to watch in the playoffs. And my first thought was you need a superstar before you can even start having that conversation. I don't see Trae Young as a superstar. To me, a superstar is a person in an NBA game that just completely takes it over, right? Where he is just unstoppable. And obviously LeBron James is that and the Anthony Davis is, but there's other guys, like you said, that could do it, i.e. a Jason Tatum that I think are becoming the superstars. And the Hawks just don't, Cam, I think, have anybody at that level.
And I agree. A lot of people get really good all-stars mixed up with superstars. It's hard to be a superstar because you got to deliver it every night, like you said. And then majority of superstars play both ends of the floor.
And see,
majority.
The difference I see between Bradley Beal and a Trae Young, because Bradley Beal is a guy who's scoring a lot of points on a really bad team, right? They had the meme of him sitting on the bench after scoring like 38 points and his team lost by 10 points, where it's just, and so you can say, well, he's a guy who's scoring a lot of points on a bad team. He was scoring a lot of points when he had John Wall. Bradley Beal's a really good basketball player. I think he's a guy, you put him on a good team like a Miami Heat, something like that. He's a guy who could really flourish if he has a guy beside him like a Jimmy Butler. Trae Young, I think if you put him on a good team, he's probably the second or third piece, right?
Third piece, probably.
Yeah, probably. It's probably third piece.
You have to cover up his defense.
Yeah, you do. That the difference is Bradley Beal, he plays defense. He's already proven in the playoffs. And now if you've been watching the Wizards lately, they're on fire. They might get the AC. They won 6 in a row before last night when they lost to the Clippers. But you're right. He has to shore up that defensive, liability that he is. But that's everybody in Atlanta. They're bad defensively.
How tough of a look is it for Atlanta, though, that they're hosting an all-star game and don't have an all-star?
No.
It's tough, but not tough because the only thing is their team is really young. So people give young teams a bypass when it comes to that.
Yeah, just got to figure something out in the fourth quarter. I believe they're now 10-8 when entering the fourth quarter with a lead. So gotta figure something out there for the Hawks. Just can't close out games. And again, I think a lot of that's just when it gets down to crunch time and they're playing half court offense and you have a bad defense. Usually, it's going to lean towards them winning the game. But no Hawks selected to the All-Star game. Trae Young left out. Just a tough look right now for the Atlanta Hawks. They're taking on the Celtics tonight. Rocking the sweet City Edition uniforms. They do have that going for them. Yeah. They do have that going for them. We got more to come here on Second Down. We'll come back right after this. So we'll give you guys a not so bold prediction here. Again, this is Second Down on ESPN Radio, presented to you by the Uniform Source. Not so bold prediction here, right?
Okay.
Georgia's going to play Alabama in the SEC championship game.
Okay.
Yeah,
Shocking.
I agree.
You know when that's my prediction. SEC Media Days coming back up in July in Birmingham. Guarantee you that's going to be the media poll, right? I want you guys to give me a team on each side, East and the West, that could shake up that prediction. Cam, I'll start with you.
On the West, give me Auburn. It's just because they're weird. Let's just put it where it is. They're weird. They do stuff like that. They do stuff like that. And then on the East, I mean, there's only one team that's viable on the East other than Georgia. That's Florida. So got to give me Florida.
I mean, Cody, that's probably who I would go with. I think the one that, and this is wild, and this is me in February talking about stuff that's 6 months away. When I say shake it up, it could mean that two teams are really good, but the third team beats the other team and keeps them out, right? I think Ole Miss could be a big decision maker in the SEC West. They're the Hawks of the SEC West because they're going to put up 50 points on you. It's just that they're probably going to give up 50 points every game as well. But if one game your offense isn't clicking, do me a favor, Cody, pull up Alabama's 2021 schedule. Tell me what week they're playing Ole Miss, because if 1 week your offense isn't clicking and you have a couple 3-and-outs, you have a turnover, something like that, or you're just kind of moving up and down the field slow, you're going to lose to Ole Miss. Like, I don't care what kind of defense you play, they're going to put up points on you. Matt Corral is a bona fide stud. He's going to give you the ball a couple times a game, but he's a stud. And Lane Kiffin can dial up plays against anybody. We've seen that repeatedly. I think Ole Miss has a chance to shake up some things in terms of handing out some losses in the SEC West. You have it?
I don't see them playing Ole Miss at all.
I guarantee you they're playing
Ole Miss. Week 5. Week 5.
Gators, Mississippi, Southern Miss. There's Ole Miss. October 2nd, they're playing in Tuscaloosa. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Week 5. October football.
You're breaking listen, Alabama, you're breaking in a new offensive coordinator. You're breaking in a new quarterback. You're breaking in a new starting running back. You lost your top 2 receivers. You lost your center. You lost a guard. Maybe somebody stayed up all night texting their girlfriend. Maybe you throw a couple picks. You're just a little sluggish getting off the bus. That one's in Ole Miss, too. That one's in Oxford. Nope. No, it's in Tuscaloosa. In Tuscaloosa. That makes it even worse. Makes it even worse because Alabama's going to do, or Ole Miss is going to do something weird. That, to me, if I'm an Alabama fan, is a horrifying date on the schedule.
Nah, if I'm an Alabama fan, I'm chilling on that. It's in Tuscaloosa. Yeah, it's in Tuscaloosa. Now, if it was an Ole Miss, you got a point.
Well, that's the point.
It'd be okay.
It's in Tuscaloosa, right? So that's where the true upsets happen, right? When the craziness happens on the field. I don't know.
Yeah, you're right. They got Auburn last game of the season at Auburn in Jordan Hare. I just had to see how Auburn performs before that.
Now, I will say this. They will be battle-tested by the time they get to Ole Miss. They play Miami September 4th, which Miami is going to be a lot better than they have been in the past. Eric King coming back. They've got some big-time transfers in. Tyreek Stevenson from Georgia has transferred in. So Miami is going to be a bigger test than a lot of people think, because Alabama usually just rolls people in this first game of the season, right? But I think Miami will be a good test. Then they have their home opener against Mercer. Then they're at Florida. So, I mean, that's going to be a hell of a game. You'll have 2 starting quarterbacks looking for their first marquee win as starting quarterbacks, Bryce Young versus Emory Jones. That's going to be a fun game. So they'll be battle-tested by the time they get to Ole Miss. But, I mean, maybe looking ahead at a potential divisional matchup with Texas A&M, maybe overlooking Ole Miss a little bit. Who knows? But I look at that, I circle that and say that's a weird one. That's a weird one, I think, Ole Miss. And then, Cam, I think you're right. I think it's Florida on the other side is really the only viable candidate to really compete this coming year. All the other teams, for the most part, except for Kentucky could punch somebody in the mouth, because Kentucky and Stoops, they do a really good job. They could punch somebody in the mouth. But in terms of competing and trying to pull Georgia out of the SEC championship game, I really think it's only Florida.
Yeah. 110%.
So who are your two teams quick, Cody, before we have to go to break?
Florida, and I got LSU. I think
that's an interesting
LSU
pick.
is going to be fun to watch. It was a down year. I don't expect LSU to be down for long.
Interesting pick. New coordinators on both sides of the ball there for LSU, but Coach O still there remaining the constant. We got more to come. Final segment of Second Down coming up next. Welcome back into Second Down, presented to you by the Uniform Source. Cam, before we get out of here, man, just give me a prediction. Hawks, Celtics tonight. Do the Hawks get back on track against a pretty good Celtics team, but honestly, a Celtics team that's kind of underperforming so far, right?
Yeah, most overrated team in NBA, Celtics. Yeah, but I think the Celtics going to win tonight because they're down bad. They need a win, and the Hawks just got to be that unlucky team.
The Hawks can't do it. The Hawks can't pull out, even with the MLK uniforms. They can't pull a win out.
Nah, MLK is not going to give them enough power for tonight. Nah,
that's tough. That's tough.
I'm going Hawks just because of a gut feeling, not because of talent.
I don't know. Both teams are so disappointing and bad on either side. I don't even know if I can put a prediction out there. But yeah, we're going to talk more about this coming up. We have Brandon Scoopy Robinson coming up at 3:30 to talk about the NBA All-Star rosters. It's Team LeBron versus Team Durant. And so they'll draft. They're also going to catch up with home team Brandon Leak from 680 The Fan to talk about Trae Young being left off. That's all up next. BJ Bennett, Ben Troop, and Kevin Thomas on 3 and Out.